Hi, I'm Michelle Meatbro. I am recording my performance task, which is a think aloud to the Declaration of Independence. For time's sake, I'm only going to be doing the first two paragraphs. So let's dig in. The Declaration of Independence in Congress, July 4th, 1776, the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. So, we're going to start with what we can tell from the first line. So obviously we're declaring independence. First few words, we've got the date, the year, who is declaring independence, that's Congress. And it is a unanimous declaration, which means all 13 of the colonies or states agree to this declaration. They all believe that this is necessary. So that's pretty important when all 13 of the states believe that this is something that needs to happen. So that's pretty significant right off the bat. Let's move into this first little half here of the first sentence, which is very dense. So when in course of human events, which just means there comes a point in time when it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve political bands. So there comes a point in time where it's necessary to sever political bonds that connect two countries. And to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. So these powers that they are given, they are entitled to these powers to dissolve political bands by both the laws of nature and by the laws of God. So there is a pretty strong, case for them, according to the document, to sever these political bands, right? A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. I might not know what the word impel means, but a quick Google search means a force or urge to do something. So a decent respect to the opinions of mankind. So if you respect someone's opinions, that's being courteous. So common courtesy requires that they should tell the causes which are forcing these people to sever the bonds, right? So all this first little paragraph is really saying is that there comes a point in history where it's necessary to separate yourself politically from another country. And it's just common courtesy to tell the world or the other country why you've decided to make these decisions. Not too much going on. So that's just the opening bit. This second little bit reads, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to effect their safety and happiness, Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty, to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. Now that is a lot of text right there, and I'm going to break it down into 3 sections. So this is going to be the first part. This is going to be the second part, and this right here is going to be the third part. So the purple section starts out by establishing that we have rights, that in order to protect our rights, we consent to be governed, and when this government that we've created and consented to fails to protect our rights, then it is our right to either change or destroy the government and to create a new one that will protect our rights to life, liberty, and happiness. And this is the Founding Fathers really establishing their political philosophy. They're telling you where people get their rights from, how this government should kind of work in theory. They're telling you what rights we have under the government that they believe they have, the rights that the Founding Fathers believe they have. So that's what this little purple section is doing here. So this blue section here, it exists to contextualize the claims made in the purple section, very specifically because overthrowing a government is a very big deal that needs to be explained, and it's not something you would do for light or transient meaning not lasting, enduring, or permanent, reasons. So, it's not because of a whim or just something that is annoying. If you say we're gonna overthrow the government, you better have some pretty good reasons why. And the Founding Fathers admit that it is human nature, right? Mankind are more disposed to just put up with the petty annoyances if they're suffering them. It's just we're gonna move on, right? But when a long train of abuses and usurpations occur, pursuing invariably by the same object, we're gonna break that down there. Usurpations is the act of taking control of something without having the right to. So for a government, that means overextending your authority, trying to govern something which you really shouldn't be governing. So when you keep, angering these colonies, when you keep adding to the list of abuses, it clearly shows or evinces that you're trying to put these colonies under a system of absolute despotism, despotism is the exercise of absolute power, especially in a cruel or oppressive way. Right? And once they are under this rule of despotism, it is the colonists' right, their duty, to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. So it's just saying, when you are under a despot's control, you have a right to overthrow them and get yourself a new government. And then this last yellow section here, it connects and ties the purple and blue sections. So it ties the political philosophy and the context of the political philosophy to what is actually going on in the colonies, right? They're saying that the colonies have patiently suffered. So they have been putting up with these annoyances. But right now, the king, with all of his repeated injuries, it's basically tyranny, which is a synonym for despotism. The proper definition of tyranny is a cruel and oppressive government or rule, the arbitrary use of power and control. And that is a very big claim, so they follow that up with, to prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid word, and then they go on to explain everything that King George has done. So if we look at these just first two little paragraphs, what is happening here is that the first paragraph says, it's proper decorum to tell Britain why we are separating. And then they use this second paragraph, right, to explain their reasoning. They explain their philosophy on this, like why, why they feel this way. They explain, so because I feel like my rights have been trampled, we're going to make a new government. We're not going to subscribe to this British government anymore. We're going to create our own American government. And that's basically what the colonists do. They go to war with Britain. We have the Revolutionary War, and we win, and they created the United States of America. Pretty cool.